You're watching Chick-Fil-A Overtime with me, Corey Miller, on WACH Fox. Good evening. Thanks for staying up late with us for your Chick-Fil-A Overtime. I'm Corey Miller, the pastor of Payne. Week number 4, or 5 games for us as we continue to look back what happened last week. We're going to look at what's going to happen this Friday. We'll tell you who we like. We're going to pick them in our pick 'em segment, our top 5 teams, all of that good stuff, plus our player of the week. All that's coming up here later on in the program. Now joined by SC's varsity very own. The Baxter is back after taking a week off of working in the hospital. How was it, man?
It was great. And we still had football. We still had football last week, and it was a great week. Missed seeing you. Missed seeing Amber Lynn Pennycuff and the team. So, but I'm back.
You back and ready to rock and roll. Week 4, the 5th game for us coming up this week. Let's start with Chapin and Newberry, a game that a lot of folks thought that was the best game I thought last week, period. Chapin and Newberry was a game that I didn't understand the dynamics of it, but I knew one thing. Logan Bailey is a real deal. 13 touchdowns he has, Jim, now on the season, and he hasn't took his foot off the gas.
No, he hadn't. And this was a very good game. I felt like going into this game that Newberry would be the toughest team on the Chapin schedule. And they gave them the toughest. And they gave them a very good first half. But Chapin goes in, they make adjustments, they come back out in the second half. Logan Bailey does his thing. And I'm going to tell you, Corey, and I said it this week on the radio show, I said it in the newspaper. If Mr. Football was selected today after 4 weeks of play, Logan Bailey of Chapin is South Carolina's Mr. Football the way he's playing right now.
He's playing great football, as I mentioned. 13 touchdowns right now on the season. Hammond versus Cardinal Newman. Cardinal Newman is a team that's on the rise, I think. Good coaching over there. I think they're playing better. They're not in Hammond's caliber yet as far as team is concerned, but this is a team that will compete. There's Michael Bower in the shop there. Hammond, is a good team. But Cardinal Newman's, I think, going to be better in the next couple of years.
Yeah, they're getting fired up. They've got some good kids on that football team in the program, and they're getting coached well. Play physical brand of football. I watched them a couple of weeks ago in a game, but Hammond's a little bit too much for them, and that game turned out like I think all of us expected it to. But Cardinal Newman's going to get there. If they keep striving with that coaching staff they had, they're going to get there.
Well, the next game I want to talk about, Ridgeview and Irmo. Perry Parks went down to Goose Creek and got a big win. They've been playing well. This team is on the rise. Irmo still over. And they're scoring some points now, at least this past week, but still the defense struggled in the second half. This is a team Irmo had the lead in this ball game, had it under control, but the second half, the wheels fell off for Irmo, Jim. And this Ridgeview team, though, Perry Parks got them playing very well.
He does. This is a telling game for Irmo because they had a 20-point lead at halftime, and they wind up giving up that lead. They trade touchdowns. They still have a chance to win this game late. But a couple of things that I noticed in the second half. One, Irmo let Ridgeview take advantage of some 3rd and 4th downs and convert them into first downs. You can't do that against a good football team. And then the other thing is Jalen Nelson, the quarterback for Ridgeview, has not been impressive so far this year. But in the second half of that Irmo game, he woke up. A fire got lit under him, and that kid played lights out, probably the best he's played all season, and he took command of that football team and took ownership of that football team.
I like Ridgeview's football team. I think they're going to be tough to deal with. They're getting better each and every week. Now, Spring Valley and Robin Bacon, Sports Center, top 10 plays a week ago to come back to take on the rival Richland Northeast, a team that we haven't really been talking a lot about, but this is a team, Jim, I don't know. They kind of sneaking up on folks, and they had a chance to win this game at the Valley, losing it 15-14. I like this Northeast team.
I like Northeast. They're scrappy. Spring Valley is one of those teams that they're not going to score 30 or 40 points on you, but you can't let a team like Richland Northeast, the way they're playing right now, hang around in a 2, 3, 4-point ball game because they can beat you. They run the ball well. I don't think that they have a tremendous passing game, but that'll get better as the season goes on. They play well in the trenches, and that's the key. And that offensive line is going to keep them in a lot of games.
Yeah, Spring Valley is a solid team. Not great, but they're a solid team. 2-day scrap as well. Lexington and Wando, Coach Josh Stepp. This team is, again, we talked about them early in the year. They had the early loss, but they're getting progressively better as well. I like what he's doing over there, the passing game. They're getting back healthy. Guys are getting back on the football field. But I like what Stepp is doing over there. They win a close one down at Wando, 40-35.
Yeah, they do. And this is a team right now that, in my opinion, needs to start playing football early. They have waited the last 2 weeks to play football in the fourth quarter and wound up winning by the skin of their teeth.
Right.
They have got to play 4 quarters of football if they're going to win, especially this week. In this week's game. But the good thing about that is if you look at a team that is able to get victories and play ugly, then you know when they finally put it together, they're going to be a pretty good football team.
Yeah, they're going to definitely be a good football team. And finally, our last game, as we look back from last week, is Westwood and Keenan. Westwood, Mark Mickens had a neck injury, had surgery, I believe still in the hospital. Don't know much about his situation, what the outlook is for him, but this is an emotional game for Westwood taking on Keenan. And I had Lou in here the other day. One thing he said that he thought that they might have been too hyped up, too amped up, too emotional. But they get the win over Keenan. It wasn't a pretty win, but they got the win nonetheless. And they've been playing. There's Andrew playing his back. He scored his first touchdown, I believe, of the season. So Westwood wins this game 21-7.
Yeah, Westwood, listen, Westwood, like last year, they're one of the teams that you have to look at as one of the top teams in the Midlands. And this year, with the way Dutch Fork is playing right now, of course, they played better this week. But this year, Westwood could actually be the team that you look at in that Region 4 or 4A and say, that's the team to beat.
No doubt about it. Westwood and Lexington coming up this week. We're going to talk about it. We talked to the coaches about this game. Going to be maybe the biggest game in the Midlands. We got all that more coming up as your Chick-Fil-A Overtime rolls on. You're watching Chick-Fil-A Overtime with me, Corey Miller, on Watch Fox. Welcome back. As I said before the break, Lexington, Westwood, the matchup that's going to happen on tomorrow night. It's going to be a really good football game. Both these teams are playing extremely well. Jim just talked about Lexington starting slow but finishing fast, or closing out games, where Westwood also been talking about finishing and getting things done. But this game will come down to defense, no doubt about it, Jim. This is a team in Westwood. They lost most of their defensive players last year, but the young guys and the next man up mentality, they've been playing pretty decent. Lexington has a lot of firepower on offense. Good at quarterback, 2 or 3 quarterbacks really. But can they go out there and score points on this Westwood team? How do you see this game breaking down? I don't want your pick yet, but how do you see it breaking down?
I think Westwood's got one of the. I love the defensive coordinator. I think that he's one of the best in the state, and I like what they do with the defense and how they move their line around. And I think that they're going to cause some problems for Lexington. I think that Lexington does have some weapons. They got Tyler Shadwell out at wide receiver that's playing a phenomenal season so far. I don't think that they've been extremely effective or consistent on offense, but they have the ability to. I think Lexington's defense is going to be the key. I think Lexington's got to play good defense against that Westwood offense, because Westwood has the ability to score on one play. We saw that against River Bluff, and I think that they could come into this game and damage Lexington. I think the cornerbacks are going to have to come up. They're going to have to come up and do some press, because Westwood throws a lot of short stuff, and they just can't. Lexington just can't give up the big play. Yeah,
it's going to be a tough game, no doubt about it. We caught up with Coach Josh Stepp to talk about the game.
The biggest thing is limiting their big plays. They're very good up front. They run the football extremely well. So we've got to limit the big plays, get off the field on 3rd down, and try and contain that run game the best we can. It's going to be tough, but I think our kids are ready for the challenge.
Coach Rodney Summers is a guy that the #1 team right now in the Midlands, in my opinion. But they're continuing to win despite some of the emotional things that are going on. Staying focused is what they have to do. We caught up with him at the practice as well.
We're definitely going to try to run the football, but again, Jalen's been doing well in throwing the ball, and so we've got to continue to be balanced. We think if we can be balanced and attack them, that we can succeed in that way. But again, our defense has also been a good strong point for us this year, not allowing a whole lot of points. So again, we know that Lexington comes in a high-powered offense. They score a lot of points, so our defense is going to be tested, and I hope our guys are up to it.
Going to be a really good game, and, of course, we'll pick that game later on in the program. Now, Coach Bennett out at River Bluff is getting it done, a team that won a game last week and did not even attempt a pass, Jim. They ran it and ran it and ran it, and they play Crescent on tomorrow night. will we see that run game again from Dave Bennett? I need more Gators.
Yeah, he pulls a page out of Chuck Reedy's book, Old Ground Chuck. You know, and I told you earlier, Chuck Reedy did that when he was at Baylor, did a whole game without passing. But, you know, River Bluffs is a very good football team. And, you know, when you've got a kid like Brandon Tillman at the reins, I mean, you want to put the ball in his hands. And I like their offense. I think that Brandon Tillman probably would be better suited in giving him an opportunity to run like Wildcat type things. But the offense they have has been effective. It was effective last week. This is a team they're taking on this week they struggled with last year.
Now, Crescent from Iva, South Carolina, in the upstate, a 2A school that beat River Bluff last year. I don't know if that's going to happen this year, but they're definitely going to come here ready to compete. We caught up with Coach Bennett after practice.
Crescent upset us last year. That's why you play the game. You don't know who's going to win. And a lot of credit goes to Crescent for winning that game last year. But I hope we can change that around this Friday. We'll see what our young men can do.
I love that guy, man. He's as old school as they come, and he definitely has those kids prepared and ready to play some good football. And this is a team, as you talk about Tillman, is a guy that can run it. He can play all over the field. I mean, he's just a really good athlete, Jim. But going to be an intriguing football game. I mean, Crescent coming up, they said they took care of River Bluff last year, but I think it's going to be difficult this year to beat this team. But we'll just have to wait and see. When we come back, we'll talk about the Pastor's Picks. I'll reveal all of my top 5 teams in the Midlands, the best top 5 in the state, coming up next after the break. You're watching Chick-Fil-A Overtime with me, Corey Miller, on Watch Fox. What was that time? Well, I wasn't ready. You caught me off guard. I'm sorry, Rich.
You said you were ready.
You're watching Chick-Fil-A Overtime with me, Corey Miller, on Watch Fox. Well, it's time for me to reveal my top 5 in the Midlands. Did they change? Maybe. Should some teams be in? Maybe. But it's a hard top 5 to get into. There's no more 1A and 1B, Jim. It's 1 through 5. You either 1
I'm glad
or
you
there's no more of that 1A.
I'm glad you changed
that. No more of that.
Make a commitment. And just
it's what it is. Let's go to my full screen, Rachel. Here they are, sponsored by my good friends at Palmetto Wildlife and Extractors. Here are the Pastor's Picks. Number 1 is the Westwood Redhawks. Again, I just told you that early on. This is my favorite team in the Midlands. I think they play old school type of football. They get after you. They play solid defense. They like running the football. It reminds me of the old NFC East when I played the big black and blue division. That's Westwood. Number 2, I had to bring Chapin up. This team continues to win, a good win over Newberry. You said that was their toughest game on their schedule. Well, if that's the case, they're going to be a tough out rest of the year. I'm going to believe you on that one. Logan Bailey is playing out of his mind. 13 total touchdowns right now, doing a great job. This might surprise a lot of folks. I'm moving Spring Valley up like the Jeffersons. They at number 3. They're winning. Say what you want to.
Elizabeth.
Coming to join you, right? But Spring Valley is at number 3.
That's
I like what they're doing.
That's
Ryan
a homer
Lee,
pick right there.
Taiwan Fulton is playing extremely well. They're playing some solid defense. They kind of got by against Northeast, but still, they're undefeated. Number 4, the Lexington Wildcats. I like Josh Stepp. I like this team. I think they're doing a really nice job, but they're going to be challenged on tomorrow against the number 1 team, which is Westwood. And then number 5, welcome in Perry Parks and the Blazers of Ridgeview. This team is one of those sneaky teams that's going to beat some folks this year because they're playing with confidence. They got some swag about them. They got enough athletes to get things done. Number 5, the Blazers of Ridgeview. That's my top 5 Pastor Picks. Again, sponsored by my good friends at Palmetto Wildlife and
That's okay. I mean, we still have time to see the correct top 5
we'll see
in the
that
next
baloney
segment.
one in a minute. But that's going to be a good game. Now, Spring Valley, I got them there because they're undefeated. I mean, they're 4A school that's undefeated. You got that says something. Now, Irmo is a team that needs a win desperately. They're going into Spring Valley, at Spring Valley. This Irmo only has 4 home games. They're doing a lot of traveling.
Yeah.
How do you like this matchup? I mean, can Reggie Kennedy go over there and get it done?
I think if Irmo goes into Spring Valley and they're able to play like they did last week, which was pretty good until the fourth quarter. They gave up the 20-point lead, but they played strong. They got to get better on the defensive front. but they did find offense last week. And if they can go to Spring Valley with that same mentality, have the offense, put some points on the board, and correct the mistakes that they made in the second half where they gave up that lead, they can beat Spring Valley.
Yeah, I think so. I think they scored, 41 points last week, but the defense kind of gave up some plays, things that really, Walt Wilson's the defensive coordinator, former head coach at Calhoun County. I know a lot because I talked to him a lot about this defense. There's little things that's costing these guys games. Now, I don't think they have a ton of talent over there right now. They're still building. Someone was telling me they lost some players to Chapin, some linemen that went over to Chapin. They lost over there who's playing very well. But another game, Jim, that I do like is I like the airport game. I think that's going to be a Northeastern Airport. I believe it's going to be a really good football game. Kurt Burnett's doing a nice job over there. I think his son is back healthy at the quarterback position. But I think Northeast is going to start beating some folks.
Listen, Northeast is a dangerous football team. They're a dangerous team to let stay around. But I'm going to tell you right now, Airport, I don't know if you've seen them yet. They may be the fastest team in the Midlands area.
Really?
I mean, they got a lot of team speed. They don't have a lot of depth over there, but they've got kids over there that are just phenomenal football players, and they're doing a great job. Athlete after athlete after athlete. They play good up front. I think that their team speed could be the difference in this game.
We'll see. We're going to pick up that game here in the next segment. When we come back, Jim will talk about his top 5 teams in the Midlands and our pick 'em segment. We'll let you know who we think are going to win these games that we featured, games to watch in our Midlands area. That's all coming up as the Chick-Fil-A Overtime. We roll on. You're watching Chick-Fil-A Overtime with me, Corey Miller, on Watch Fox. All right, welcome back to our Chick-Fil-A Overtime. Corey Miller alongside Jim Baxter. It is now time for Jim to release his top 5 picks in the Midlands. You heard mine, the Pastors' picks, which are always on point and right.
And I contained my laughter.
And these, and I'm getting ready to laugh too when I see this list. I cannot wait to see who you got up here because I know it's all twisted. Look at this. Here you go.
You can't wait to see my picks because that's how you pick your games.
Take it away. It's
Westwood Redhawks, #1
That's
in
a
the Midlands area.
Great pick.
#2, Lexington Wildcats. They will face off this week and decide who's the real #1. #1, #2 play. Blythewood, I'm not moving them out of the top 5 just because they didn't play last week. They're going to stay in the top 5. They're going to stay in the top 5. And #4, Ridgeview Blazers. Hey, listen, you're going to actually
I like this pick, though. I do like this pick.
You like the Ridgeview Blazers.
I do like that pick.
Right. Airport #5. I know what you're thinking. Where's Chapin? Chapin's #6. Okay.
Still #6.
Unlike you, I don't do a 5A and a 5B or a 1A and a 1B. I got 5 teams.
Wait.
Airport Eagles, fastest 3A team. I think they're the best 3A teams in the Midlands.
The fastest 3A team.
In the Midlands.
In the Midlands, okay. So you got Kurt Burnett and Airport at #5. This came out of nowhere. Out of nowhere.
Came out of nowhere. They're 3-0. What are you talking about?
You just said Logan Bailey was the best player right now. You would give him Mr. Football.
Bailey is Mr. Football.
But you don't put his team in the top 5.
Best player. Listen, there's 11 football players on the field for the offense, 11 for the defense. There's 22 guys on the field, Corey. So you can have the best player in the state on the field and still not be the best team in the state.
They are undefeated. So, they haven't lost. And they just beat a good Newberry team.
Airport's undefeated.
Oh, wow.
So,
you got to be. Let's move on. This is baffling to me.
Yeah.
All right, let's pick our games. This is even going to be more funny, I believe, when you pick these games. Here we go. Right. That team, Chapin, that you didn't put in your top 5 that you said were #6, they're playing at your school, Brooklyn Casey. They're on the road.
For the record, my school is Lexington. I played at Lexington.
No, your son, so you got to
my son coaches at Brooklyn.
Okay, so that's your school now. I got Chapin.
I'm going with the Bearcats.
#2, Dorman coming up from the upstate, that big college high school on I-26, playing at Dutch Fork. Tom Knotts, Stephen Davis been great, but won't be good enough against Dorman. I'm taking Dorman.
Best pro-style quarterback in the state for Dorman. I'm taking
Dorman. Going to Colorado State, right?
Yes.
That kid. Irmo at Spring Valley, the Vikings. Undefeated, they should be in your top 5.
Somehow slipped into your top 5.
Yeah, sure. I like, Irmo, I do. I think they're building. It's a process. I love what everything Reggie Kennedy is about, but unfortunately, this team is just not that good right now.
You can't talk about liking them and then pick against them. I mean, come on, man.
I'm just saying. Who you got?
I like you, but I'm not taking you to the prom. I got Irmo.
We
Irmo's
go
going to
get
pull
coffee
it upset.
together.
They're going over to Spring Valley.
And the number 1 and the number 4 team, in my opinion, you got number 1, number 2, which is kind of twisted. But anyway, I like what Lexington is doing. I know they can score the football, but you're right. They've been struggling. They've been, starting slow. Well, you cannot start slow against a good defense and a good team with a running game like Westwood. Plants back, you look to be healthy. You got Rudy Mitchell as well, one of the top leaders in rushing into Millers. Westwood will win this football game.
I like Lexington because I don't think they're going to play 3 games in a row where they don't start playing until the 4th quarter. They play 4 quarters, Lexington wins this football game.
Yeah, Richmond Northeast, who I like, 1 point short over at Spring Valley last week. It's a team I think has been playing good football. Oh, that linebacker.
He's good. He's good.
25 tackles. He had
okay, so he's best linebacker in Midlands, right? How come they're not in your top 5?
They hadn't won. I saw something about Chapin has won. I'm taking Northeast in the upset over your Kirk Burnett Airport Eagles.
Airport Eagles are going to beat Richmond Northeast. It could be a good game. I think if Airport does not want to let them hang around like Spring Valley did. But I think Airport wins that football game.
Really?
Absolutely. Big plays.
So you said Airport is the fastest team in the Midlands.
I think they have more team speed than any other team in the Midlands right now.
Spring Valley's pretty fast.
Go watch the Eagles play.
I don't know. We'll see about that. Our player of the week is Stephen Davis Jr. of Dutch Fork. He moved on to running back full time. Tom Knotts, great move. 204 yards rushing. Had 6 touchdowns on the ground. Caught one for 50 yards. That was 1 catch and a touchdown for 50. He looks very good. He's looking like his daddy back in the old days. When he's up at Spartanburg High School, Stephen Davis Sr. Stephen Davis Jr. is putting it down. I like this
move. We talked about it in the preseason. We've actually been talking about it for a year, about moving him over to offense and what an impact he could make at offense. And this is a great move, a smart move by Tom Knotts, because if you look what he did, we're looking at Stephen Davis's numbers right now, but what we're not seeing is how well Cole Douglas played, the quarterback. You got a guy like Stephen Davis in the backfield doing that, and you're gonna enable your quarterback to develop and take pressure off of him, and he's gonna get better. This team's gonna progressively get better as the season goes on.
The biggest upset this week, if it happens, will be Irmo beating Spring Valley.
I think biggest upset would be Brooklyn KC over Chapin.
Really?
Yeah.
We'll see about that. I don't think any one of those are going to happen. Just saying. Like both coaches.
I picked both of them.
But I think you're going to be in trouble this week. Just saying. For Rachel and Amber, we're going to pick her picks off the air, which she's somehow tied with us. We'll see. Jim Baxter, I'm Corey Miller. This has been Chick-Fil-A Overtime. Wow, your picks are amazing. See you next week.